Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ben Oldak. With me here today, Kathy Leggett, back from Lambeau Field.
Yes.
Sounds like you had a good time.
I had a great time.
Awesome.
Yes.
And how cold was it up there?
You know what? Our game wasn't bad. Our game was like maybe low 40s. So,
Oh, yeah, that's not terrible.
pretty darn decent. Good football weather.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I will be avoiding the quote-unquote good football weather. I'm headed to California for a couple of days next week, and we're crossing our fingers that it's going to be low 60s there. So just a quick getaway.
That's nice.
Looking forward to it. Also looking forward to our discussion today because we have Michelle Schott on with us. She is part of the DMACC Jumpstart program, which is an integrated education and training program. She's the coordinator of that, and we're going to kind of get into what all of that means. But essentially, it's a way for people who need literacy skills or other kind of like adult learning skills to get into the workforce, and it's something that's kind of really cool that we haven't talked about here on this show. So, Michelle, welcome in.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, first of all, just kind of give us a little bit of background. Tell us a little bit about what your role is here with this program and what it's all about.
Yeah. So I work in the Adult Education and Literacy Department at DMACC, and you may be familiar with the English Language Learner Program, or ELL program at DMACC, helping students across the district, about 2,000 a year, to learn those critical English language skills, reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills. So that is one of the programs in adult ed and literacy, and the other program is our high school equivalency program. It used to be referred to as the GED here, but now we call it HiSET, and so helping students to be able to achieve that high school equivalency. And so those are the two of the programs, and then the integrated education and training program is new to our department. I've been with DMACC about 18 months, and so we're excited that we've been able to launch this, and essentially, we call it integrated education and training. At DMACC, we call it Jumpstart programs.
That's easier to say.
It is a little bit easier.
And
integrated education training is a lot.
It makes good sense, too.
Yes. So really, it's helping to jumpstart our students' careers. And so the way that we do that is by combining the adult education and literacy. And so when we say that, we're referring to those reading, writing, math skills, and that English language acquisition that I mentioned. So we're taking those literacy skills and combining them with workforce training. So whether that be like a certification, CNA or CDL, could also be a training in the workplace, kind of a workplace literacy training. And then the third kind of component of our Jumpstart is those key soft skills, employability skills. We know that employers that's really what they're looking for, those communication skills, the critical thinking skills. And so we want to ensure that our students are really ready to enter into the workforce. And so those three components together make up our Jumpstart programs.
That's awesome. That is, and those are three critical components. So I think it's great that you can bring them together for people. A couple of questions. Just a little more about Jumpstart. How long is it? How you said 2,000? Do you 2,000 in the Jumpstart or in the adult education program?
Sorry, that was 2,000 in the English Language Learner program.
Which is amazing.
It is.
Yeah,
there is such a high demand.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to hit. This and so great on integrating these three. But I think as we see that sometimes a lack of these skills really is the barrier for so many people. And so this is a great pulled-together opportunity to address all of those. So what occupations do you currently do Jumpstart in?
Absolutely. So we have our CDL Jumpstart program, and that one is more of a preparation class. So it's really designed for English language learners who want to get into the trucking industry, but are needing those additional language supports to be able to be successful in passing that permit exam. I don't know if you've looked at the manual recently, but it's very technical language, and there's so much trucking specific vocabulary and also just trucking slang in general. And so really helping those students to build their reading comprehension strategies as they're studying, and also all of that English language, the conversational skills, how to give and receive directions when you're in the truck. It all comes down to safety, and we want to ensure that students are prepared to be in the truck so that everyone is safe. And so we want to get them all the confidence that they need to be able to be successful as they transition into the CDL program. And so Jumpstart, their favorite part is on the weekends, there's 2 Saturdays where they actually go to the Transportation Institute, and they get to have a hands-on experience where they're in the trucks and they get to see everything, and it just really brings everything kind of full circle, because you can do the learning in the classroom, but until you can actually apply it, that's where I feel like the connections start to happen.
That's so cool.
And so, so once the students finish that, it's a 4-week program.
Okay.
And so it's a preparation class. It's they meet 3 times a week for 3 hours. And so once they finish that, then we have a CDL pathway navigator who helps them to navigate into the CDL program.
Very nice.
And so it can be, there's lots of steps to get enrolled in CDL, and there's lots of different kind of complex technical pieces to it. And so it's really critical to have that navigator role to be able to help students get their questions answered and kind of continue on their path.
Yeah. So a question on that before we move on to your other program is, it sounds to me like that is something, but correct me if I'm wrong, that somebody who's interested, who could be working a job in the current, currently, but seeing this as an opportunity to really step into a career that might provide more wages, benefits, all of that for them. So they could probably do this at the same time, maybe, right?
Absolutely. So they could do this prep class at the same time, and I like it because it gives students an opportunity to explore, is this the right industry for me, before they sign on and commit to this actual CDL training, which has a cost associated with it. Our Jumpstart class is free, and so students are able to kind of have this low stress environment to be able to explore that, and then they're able to transition into it. And so we have students, most of our students are working full time.
Okay,
and we have evening classes, and then sometimes we also have a morning class.
Which is great, because that accessibility for people, is another thing. Can they fit it into their schedule? And then the short-termness of it, I will say, is an advantage sometimes too, because the longer things take, sometimes it gets a little harder to stick with it. So this is just a great combination.
Yeah.
And so you have this kind of one specific program for the CDL. Do you have any other specific Jumpstart programs for other careers?
We do. We're actually piloting this fall the CNA Jumpstart program. So this one's a little bit different, where it's a 16-week course, and it includes the actual CNA certification alongside of those adult literacy supports, the reading, writing, math supports, and those soft skills. And so they have their their CNA instructor, and then they also have an adult education instructor together. And so they're able to really support students, and all of the learning that they're doing around reading, writing, and math skills is all contextualized to the CNA content. As adult learners, it's like we need relevant information, applicable, and it's like we only have so much, kind of bandwidth to be able to learn all this new information, and so it's helpful when they can apply it right away, and to learn all of the vocabulary and all of those skills kind of in that contextualized manner.
And so you have these kind of specific ones, but then there's just like a generic Jumpstart one, right, where it would be just kind of like general, adult learning and things like that can be applicable to several different occupations.
So we don't have a kind of a general career exploratory class yet, but I love that idea. But we do actually work with employers as well. So we partner with DMACC Business Resources, and we work specifically with employers who are looking to upskill in the workplace, specifically around English language learning that's contextualized to the workplace. And so we have a few different manufacturing programs going where students are able to learn on the job and be able to take classes on site, which has been fantastic, so that they're able to we create a customized curriculum essentially. So we do the English language learning component, and then we incorporate in that workforce training so that it's all going to be something that they could use tomorrow when they're out on the line, and be able to have that communication with their supervisor and really improve the safety. That's such a huge important aspect, especially in manufacturing. And so we find that it can be really helpful to be able to have those types of learning opportunities for students. So we're continuing to expand the program.
Yeah, and one of the things that I feel must be a challenge is that we talk about English learning, and obviously there's a lot of people that come from different backgrounds with different native languages that you have to kind of funnel together and get into the the English language learning. So how do you navigate that aspect where you might have I'm just throwing this out there, but 30 people
how
that
many?
speak
Yeah, I'm
Spanish.
sure
But then maybe
yes.
you have people from Africa that are speaking
how
African
many different
languages.
languages? Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a really great question. So in our CNA cohort right now, we have 16 students, and I think there was 6 different languages as a first language, but then many of our students speak 3 or 4 languages.
Wow.
And so it's honestly quite impressive. And you think about when we're thinking about employers as
Right,
a
what
side
an
tangent,
asset.
like what an asset,
Yes.
what an amazing
Yes.
thing to be able to hire
Yes.
a potential employee that could communicate
bilingual,
in
even
3
more
or 4
than
languages.
that. Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
And
So
I'm sure in everywhere, but I can really see it in healthcare.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, you think about a
huge.
hospital and how many
Yes.
different people are coming in with different
Yes.
languages, and how
Yes.
reassuring to have a CNA to be able to speak in your language and
Absolutely.
get you the care that you need. And I
Yeah.
think that that's such a great opportunity because
Yeah.
the other thing I want to mention is, as you said, there are individuals in our program coming from all different countries around the world. And there's such a variety of educational and backgrounds. We have students with advanced degrees, students with bachelor's degrees, and then also students with just a wide array of skill sets. And so they're internationally trained professionals,
Yes.
and I think it's really exciting to be able to help them to get back into the field here in the U.S. that they're
Yes.
really passionate about, because they would be such an asset to be hired
Yeah.
by any employer because they have all this background knowledge. The one skill that they're just trying to improve is their English,
Yes.
and I think sometimes it's easy for us to make an assumption about someone's skill level or their their education level based on their English skills, and it really doesn't tell the whole story. Our students have such a wide array of skills, and it's just really exciting to be able to help them to get into a field that they're excited about. So
So do you have like a bank of translators that you can go to if there's somebody that comes in and for whatever reason they might not have like a third language that they can converse with, or how does that work?
So what we would typically do is for our IET, our Jumpstart programs, we're really kind of targeting high, intermediate, and advanced level English language learners. And so for those classes, they are all taught completely in English. And so while we have students who speak Arabic and Burmese and Spanish, everyone is conversing in English, but we're really breaking down the training and making it accessible. So we're doing, the vocabulary, the grammar,
Sure, I see.
trying to really ensure that students are understanding before we are able to move on. The typical CNA course at DMACC is 8 weeks, and so we've lengthened it to 16 weeks, where they get the typical CNA course, but then they also have time to be able to process and learn all of these additional skills to be able to be successful. So and then if a student isn't quite yet ready for our IET programs, we would just refer them to our ELL program at DMACC, and
Sure.
it's an amazing program. There's levels 1 through 6, and so wherever a student is at, they would be able to get connected and continue to move through that program and then transition seamlessly right into our Jumpstart classes.
Makes a lot of sense.
So a question I have on this too is we talked about, as you were talking about, some of the basic skills as well to help individuals who need to develop those a little bit more. Are these 2 Jumpstart programs specific to English language learners, or are there individuals who speak English but still need some opportunity to develop those other skills who can take it as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for our CDL program, it is designed specifically for English language learners because that's really the focus.
To get be able to take that.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
But for the CNA program, it is open to any adult ed learner. And so that would include students who are in their high school equivalency program, or also students who maybe haven't done their high set yet, or have completed their high school diploma, but still need that additional support when it comes to those academic skills of reading, writing, and math to be able to be successful to complete that training. And so it is not just limited to English language learners. We do have, I would say, a majority, maybe 75% of our students are English language learners, but we also have students who are, their primary language is English, but they really are looking for that additional support.
Okay, that's awesome. And you also mentioned employers, that you've been working with some employers, because I did want to hit on how employers can take advantage of this, because one of the things that I know I've seen in the past is some employers working to and so I'm curious about whether you're doing it for entry-level positions only or for employees to be able to grow into another position, because that's what I've also heard as a barrier is, entry-level positions, they get into, and then, but they also need that more of that technical skill in the language part to be able to advance to a higher position. And so I'm just curious if your work addresses that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's really the whole idea around the Jumpstart IET programs, is to help make that career advancement into that next step. And so For example, we worked with Heritage Building Maintenance. They're a commercial cleaning company here in Des Moines, and we did a program where we were helping to upskill their assistant area managers into area managers. And so just really kind of building in those leadership skills and all of the vocabulary and language skills. And so they really saw an increase in the confidence more than anything. It was like that their employees were much more comfortable conversing in English with their supervisors. And then hopefully they'll have the opportunity then now to take on more leadership roles and move up within that company. And I think Heritage does such a great job of understanding the investment of offering the class and paying for their students' time to be in the class, so that they can really invest in the entire employee, so that they're building skills to help them advance within the company. So
that's awesome, because I think as an employer too, if you have great employees and you want them to have the opportunity to advance into some of those openings that you have, certainly it would seem to me like they are seeing a return on investment for having done this. So,
absolutely. And we started that program last summer, had great success, and actually we're going to be adding an additional level. As you mentioned, there's different levels within English, right? So that level or that program was kind of towards the high, intermediate, advanced students, and actually in March of this year we're going to be doing a low intermediate class. So kind of to continue to help build that foundation so that students can then move into that higher level class. And so we're excited that they saw the value and that they're wanting to continue to build out the program.
That's so needed. That's so great. So
do you have maybe partner employers that you can kind of direct these folks to after they complete some of these programs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the CNA Jumpstart program, we actually are going to be doing an employer panel next week, and we have, I think there's 5 or 6 different employers from Central Iowa who are going to be on the panel, introducing their job opportunities to our students and hopefully making those connections. So that is one way that employers can get involved for any of our programs. If they're interested in hiring for the CDL, reach out to us, and we'd love to help get you connected to some of our students. And the same thing for CNA. And then as far as kind of the employer experience, with our IETs on site, I mentioned Heritage Building Maintenance, but we also have a manufacturing IET right now with Michael Foods. And so the same thing, really upskilling in the workplace around safety, around communication, kind of conflict resolution, and even things of how to, ask for PTO and things like that. And so just building those skills. I think a lot of our companies see it as a great retention strategy, as you mentioned.
That's what I would think, yes.
And I think, as far as the companies who maybe are looking to hire, it could be a fantastic recruitment opportunity.
Oh, gosh, yes. So that's awesome. So are there other partner organizations that you work with on this endeavor, and I guess it could be you talked about employers, but maybe other organizations who work with the populations that you're serving, or any other capacity. Just curious about the partnerships that help make this program go.
Yes, this program wouldn't be possible without all the partnerships, as many of our workforce programs are. So I would say the Bureau of Refugee Services is a great partner of ours. They help to fund the CDL for the students that qualify through their program. We also work with the Evelyn K. Davis Center, and they also help with getting students connected to Jumpstart and then also to career coaches upon the conclusion of the program. So many community organizations help us to get the word out there whenever we're doing programs, so we really appreciate all of that recruitment support and help, just letting students know this is available. Many of the resettlement agencies, and I was just at the Refugee Alliance of Central Iowa, the Rossi Summit, and it was so great to see so many people in the room who are all working to support immigrants and refugees. And then, within DMACC, there's a lot of internal partners. I mentioned DMACC Business Resources, Workforce Training Academy, the Transportation Institute, Nursing Department. So it really does, since there are these 3 kind of components that have to be integrated, it really takes that occupational skills knowledge, from the expert trainer to be able to work with our adult ed instructors to create that customized curriculum.
Oh,
yeah.
So great.
And I got to imagine you've seen your share of success stories with individuals. Could you share one or two of those?
Yeah.
I got to imagine it's incredibly rewarding to see some of these people that have come in and like you said, maybe have, all this expertise in their home country, but haven't been able to realize it here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say one that comes to mind is this past summer, we did a CDL Jumpstart program out in Perry with the dislocated workers. And so that program happened in July, and there were 8 individuals who were a part of that program and completed the Jumpstart class, and we co-enrolled them with Title I, our National Able Network. That's a partner.
Yes,
we're part of IowaWORKS, and so all of our
Yes.
core partners are so essential to the work that we do. So we co-enrolled those individuals with Title I, and so they were able to also get access to a career planner and the supportive services of transportation to be able to get from Perry to Des
Yes.
Moines for their CDL training. And so I'm so excited to share that 6 of the 8 students have already completed their CDL and now are in that employment seeking part of their journey. And so we're really happy, obviously a really stressful situation as you're
Yes.
trying to navigate that process for our students. And so we were happy to be able to help connect them to a new career pathway that that they were
Yes.
able to explore and
Yep.
and now have been successful and will hopefully find employment soon.
That is so awesome. And so, okay, just a couple things. Your program is called Jumpstart. Many other community colleges across the state have
Yep.
maybe not called Jumpstart and maybe not doing it exactly the same way, but I guess I just want to touch on that since we go statewide,
Yes.
that these type of opportunities are likely available in many other areas of the state.
Yes.
So if you're not in this area and not able to take advantage of the DMACC program, where would somebody find, or how would they maybe see if there's something to get connected to in their area?
Yes, I would encourage them to reach out to their community college, to the
Okay.
Adult Education and Literacy Department, and they would be able to let them know what programs they have available. As I mentioned, they would have ELL and HiSET, and then many of the community colleges are also offering these IET
Yes.
programs, and so they
Yes.
could reference IET
Okay.
when they're talking with their adult ed provider.
Okay.
And just to see, there's fantastic programs across the state happening around integrated education and training, and so just reach out to your
Great.
adult ed providers.
Okay, good. And then, and so that for both audiences, for if you are working with individuals for whom this might be a good fit, and you've been trying to, you're like, I know this person's so skilled, this is just a barrier. How do we get them moving? These programs are something to definitely check out. And for those employers who want to retain, grow your workforce, again, another great connection on this end to get some of those highly skilled folks ready to go in your organization. So in this area. Would they contact you if they're interested? And can you share some information if somebody wants to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a website. They can also just reach out to me by email and phone. Maybe we can link that
Sure.
to this podcast. But yes, I would be happy to chat with them. And if it's not something in my department, I would help get them to
That's
connected
right.
where they
That's
need
right.
to be.
You got to start somewhere.
Yes.
So,
But I'd be
yes.
happy to talk. I talk with employers all the time and just even just brainstorming,
Yes.
letting trying to figure out kind of what their needs are
Yep.
and understanding how we can get them connected. And maybe it's not through Title II, maybe it's a Title I referral
Yeah.
or a business engagement consultant
Yes.
that we can get them connected to. And so
Yeah.
I think that we're happy to just brainstorm with employers and figure out ways that we can help to support them.
Awesome. And one last observation, as you were sharing all this, which I love it. I love the whole concept and the program, and especially connected to these high demand occupations, which hopefully we can keep and consider growing, because those are 2 very high demand occupations that can lead to great careers. It seems to me that depending on what a person's dealing with, it's not an easy pick up the phone and it's done, right? And you guys have done as much as you can to streamline the process, I think. But I guess the other observation I wanted to put out is you got to keep trying. If if somebody is like, I want this, and the first person they talk to isn't it, then keep trying. I just want to put that out there, because these programs exist, and I know it can be a little bit difficult, but keep picking up the phone, keep making the contacts.
Yeah, I think you're right that a lot of our systems are complex and it's hard to navigate. And so we hope that with our staff and our instructors, who are fantastic and really knowledgeable about working with adult education students, that we can help them to navigate those systems so that it's a little bit less stressful for our students who are already really juggling a lot of, life commitments, family, work, learning another language.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot going on, and we just want to help to be able to get them connected to a self-sustaining wage so that they can support themselves and their families and really feel like they're a part of the community here in Central Iowa.
And this is, as you said, systems are complicated. Unfortunately, that we can't solve that today, but this is a program worth getting connected to. So I want people to do that.
Absolutely. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for swinging by the podcast. We really appreciate it. Good luck with the program as it continues into the future. And we can't wait to maybe follow up with you and see how it develops over the next few years.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.